As Africa accelerates towards sustainable growth, Kenya and Rwanda are emerging as leaders in implementing extended producer responsibility, that is EPR regulations, policies that make producers responsible for the entire life cycle of their products. Jeremy Kaburu, circular economy and research specialist at KEPSA, now joins us to discuss the opportunities, challenges and investment potential of circular business models in these markets. Jeremy, a very good afternoon to you and thank you so much for your time. So to kick off our conversation, let us explore the operational and financial challenges that we are likely to see here, looking at the transition from a traditional take, make, dispose model to the new circular business model, which involves both operational and also financial adjustments. Let us start with some of the main challenges that companies in Kenya and also Rwanda face under the new EPR regulations.
Thank you, Tabitha, for having me and being part of this conversation. As you mentioned, my name is Jeremy Kaburu. I work for the Kenya Private Sector Alliance, which is a business member organization here in Kenya. And we work hand in hand with businesses to just respond to policy matters, but also issues sustainability. Circularity is now becoming a key issue of interest for the private sector. But even as there is that interest among the businesses, as you mentioned, there are some challenges when it comes to financial, but also the operation. So Kenya recently gazetted the Extended Producer Responsibility Organization last year. And one of the main challenges that the business is reporting is the issue of additional expenses when it comes to compliance. I remember in Kenya, companies have to pay an EPR import fee of around 150 Kenya shillings per standard packaging of materials. And businesses are saying this is likely to increase their production cost because to them, that's like an additional taxation or levy besides what they are paying to the government. But more to that, our engagement with businesses is that they are really interested in embracing circularity or even to be seen as sustainability champions. But they are saying they have to really invest when it comes to research and development, research to either determine what are the best packaging parts, materials they can reintroduce to their processes, or even what innovation can they adopt to either align with the policy, but also to reach out to the consumer to be interested to continuously purchase their product. So in terms of research for, let's say, alternatives to plastic, but even it does not stop at research. Mm-hmm. We've seen businesses trying to say, where can I get additional resources now to actualize whatever I've found in my research? But also there's challenges when it comes to collaboration, multi-stakeholder collaboration. Remember, sustainability issues are very complex and they cannot be left only to the private sector or even to the government. So here in Kenya, we have the informal waste sector who are driving much when it comes to waste management. And we are trying to engage the government, but also the private sector to see how can we introduce or even strengthen the involvement of the informal sector to be involved in collection, but also to supporting the delivery of the EPR in terms of awareness creation, but more to that, track when it comes to track the volumes of waste that we are recovering.
Yes.
So there are quite a myriad of challenges that are there, but yes. What we are trying to do as KEPSA, because we are leading in the business sector, is to encourage the business that we must support the national government because we have seen they are really committed when it comes to climate action effort, but yes. also issues of waste management. So it's not like we are really trying to say the private sector should not be engaged, but we are trying to tell the government this is a discussion that we can now walk the journey hand in hand to see what are some of the processes we can streamline or
yes.
to make it very easy for the business sector
yes.
to thrive.
So definitely challenges and solutions that we're seeing when it comes to the impact on cost structures, profitability, and also investment planning here, Jeremy. But let us look at policy effectiveness and regulatory gaps. What regulatory gaps are there that could pose risks or hinder financial planning for businesses?
So perhaps let me give a context of the Kenyan space is that we have several policies. And what has come out as a major regulatory gap is the issue of policy overlaps. By this, let's say, for example, there is a policy that is in draft that relates to waste management. But in talking more to that, there's another policy that really existed and that spoke to that. So we find it very hard to comply when it comes to such policies because it could pose double levies to the business or to the private sector. But what we've seen, and there's that interest from the government, is to sit down with them to see where can we harmonize this policy, where can we even change the clauses to ensure that at least the businesses themselves, they are comfortable, but even the government is quite innate when it comes to enforcing. But more to that, there is the issue of ambiguity when it comes to roles. By this is as a result of that use of top-down approach when it comes to policy making, like the private sector, the informal waste sectors is not involved. So the policy is perhaps made with the policy makers without reaching out to other players. So you find that when this policy now comes to implementation, the stakeholders don't really understand the roles that they must play. So someone will say, like, for example, if I'm a manufacturer, my work stops at manufacturing. But in reality, if you are to engage them, they will understand even as part of CSR or ESG, I have to involve the consumer, the immediate community, for them to understand what are my products, how can they handle the post-consumer waste coming from my product, but even more to that, how can I, because I'm operating within a community, contribute to some of the sustainability effort going within the community. But I think we cannot run away from the issue of trying to break the silos. This is because the involvement of the informal waste sectors, and I have to be keen and repeat on this, is that they feel left out. And these are the main players that can even drive this policy implementation, because for them, they really understand which, for example, plastic polymers are really easy to recycle, which one are not, there are no technologies to recycle them. So we need to break this silo so that the stakeholders can understand their roles, because we need this partnership and engagement. But more to that, we cannot, businesses always say that the issue of the double licensing, the levies, so there is a lot of involvement by the various actors of the national government, but also the county. So we need to harmonize some of these engagements so that at least we streamline the processes, do away with too much levies, but also that direct contact with the regulator to make it easy to have that very engaging communication between the private sector who want to support when it comes to circularity, but also sustainability.
Indeed, Jeremy, and also EPR regulations in Kenya and Rwanda also creating opportunities when it matters innovation, green investments, and also job creation. So, Jeremy, thank you so much for those great insights. Well, that conversation